Okay, we have a brick structure. It faces south. That puts us on the west side. We're on the northwest corner. We're going around counterclockwise. We've got brick. These are control joints. We're supposed to have these. You can't have this much wall in North Texas and not get some movement. This helps us control the movement. It's the same lines as we have in our driveways in the street and the street. The grading and drainage seems to be going this way towards the back of the house. I've yet, but I will look on the other side of the back fence. Then over here we have a little phenomena, this kind of ghosting, if you will, or these dirt stains. Okay, we have them on the east and west sides of the house. We're on the west side. They go about 5. And what my forensic imagination suggests to me is that the water was coming off of this roof before the rain gutters was put up, before the rain gutter was installed, and before the sod or the grass was placed. And then so when the water came off, it splashed the mud up on the side of the house here on both of these sides. This should have been power washed before turnkey so that it all matches. These are sewer cleanouts. They're not the main cleanouts, but we have these every once in a while because sometimes things get clogged up. Coming on along, I don't know why the builders place these splash blocks out backwards. I have no idea. I think they do it so that the home inspector has something to talk about, and that keeps the conversation from going any further. So kind of like a little Easter egg for the building inspector or for the home inspector. I get it. The water's supposed to come at least 6 feet away from the structure. Well, that would be over here in your neighbor's yard, and how am I going to mow the yard and all that? Well, they make up fold up things, but they also, you can take the rain gutter and put it underground and have it come out to a more advantageous area to drain. And that didn't happen either. So all roads lead to Rome. However it happens. But the rain gutter downspouts do not discharge far enough away from the house in the current configuration. We have high soil around this column. Let me get my note here. High soil around the front porch column. Okay. I don't know if the builder installed this or who installed this or what, but this should have been painted and sealed. You got a hole right in there. After a while, things start pulling and tugging, and so we've got on our siding, because we do have some siding, we got a vertical crack right here, and also over here on our door casement we got the sealant. This is what sealant does. It dries and pulls away from the structure. That's what it does. So you're supposed to come back about every year and check it to see if it needs to be resealed. You don't need to put new sealant on top of old sealant because it'll roll off. But sometimes you do need some new sealant, like right in here. There's an interesting thing about a house. From the time it's turnkey, nature tries to take it back. And so homes require a certain amount of maintenance. Now, over here, if this was closer to the ceiling, I wouldn't be having this conversation. But I'm going to have this about this and about the garage. But this casement right here should have had Z-bar flashing installed over it. What's Z-bar flashing? It looks like a Z. Okay. And some people call it cat flashing. But you should have some Z-bar flashing to protect your wood across here, because from the time it's turnkey, nature tries to take the house back. So we're trying to protect it here. Okay, coming on along over here. This rain gutter. Okay, the butt end of the rain gutter should be at least an inch away from the wall. Probably 2. I'm going to have a little roof video that I'm going to have probably 3 roof videos. 4 roof videos, but 3. See that flashing on top of this post? See that flashing on top of that parapet? That's what it's called when it extends past the roof line. That parapet, hillbilly home inspection, that parapet, okay, but that's cap flashing. That's cap flashing. It's not Z-bar flashing because it goes on both sides like a cap. But that's the same type of flashing detail I'm talking about right here. It's also the same type of flashing detail I'm talking about over the garage. Our rain gutter is too close. This one has cap flashing. And it only applies to where you have siding. This one up here has cap flashing. We got cap flashing here, we don't have cap flashing here. Oh, because this is, you know, no, you're supposed to have cap flashing there. You're supposed to have cap flashing over here. You say, oh, this is behind it. This is covered up by the porch. I get that. I get it that it's covered up by the porch. And I almost didn't say anything about this one to be, you know, frank about it. But it's more than 24 inches from the roof, and so I'm just going by the hardy siding, which I don't think this is, but it might be. But it's kind of universal instructions. I'm going by the hardy siding installation instructions. This is nice. We got a little vent right here, a little exhaust vent, lets the heat come out. But the type of roof this is, because the upper attic is encapsulated and it's not meant to be vented. And so we come down here, we got these other areas that aren't insulated, the same as the top, and so you have to have air intake and air exhaust. Now I'm going to borrow, just like I borrowed from the hardy instructions, but I'm going to borrow from the cap sheet roof covering, flat roof covering installation instructions, and they have vents that actually look better than that, and they cost about the same, maybe a little more. I don't think so, but maybe. And they're one-way vents. See, these vents are passive, and the one-way vents, they allow the air as it expands to escape, but then they seal it off, and that's supposed to work better with a flat roof. And the science looks similar here. We have no vent over the front porch. We got a vent over the garage door entry, but we don't have a vent over the front porch. Okay, it's good to know. That'll make the report. We do not have the cap flashing. Now, the foundation perimeter has a parge coat around it, and just because the parge coat is like a cake frosting, and just because the parge coating is cracked doesn't mean your cake's cracked. And just because the parge coating is not cracked doesn't mean your cake is not cracked. Just because of your foundation, just because it's cracked doesn't mean your foundation's cracked. Just because it's not cracked doesn't mean your foundation is not cracked. It's just an aesthetic coating that they put around the surface of it. Call it what you will. That's the way it works sometimes. Now, over here, I'm going to say this a couple times. Remember when I was, well, maybe not, maybe I don't remember, but right here, see where our counter flashing is coming down to the rain gutter that's too close to the brick, and you're supposed to have kick-out flashing. You're supposed to have kick-out flashing anytime that the wall intersects with the drainage plane at the drip edge of a wall that is perpendicular to the roof covering. You're supposed to have kick-out flashing. It takes the water away from the wall, and then there's a gap at the rain gutter. They work together in harmony. Okay, so coming over here, right in there, we see that we got a little bit of kick-out flashing, but it's really not a kick-out flashing, it's a diverter flashing. And the code specifies kick-out, but that's probably good enough. But if you look up here, well, I thought I saw it. I'll look at it a little closer, but I know, never mind. Save that thought. Coming along, it still looks like we got pretty decent grade and drainage. Moving on along. Closed dryer vent, water heater, thimble, drain pipe for the water heater. Between 3 and 6 inches from the ground. It's about 6 inches. I'm not going to mic it out. Moving on along here, here's some more of that same flashing I was talking about. More control joints. And then again, this side's not as bad as the other side, but we still got all these dirt stains on the first 5 courses right along here. This is the only gate to the backyard. That's why we started where we did, because I like to try and go counterclockwise. I check the water, that's what that little wet spot is for. Now, this corner right here, okay, this is called a shrinkage crack. Some people call them some people call them the shrinkage crack. Some people call them corner pops. That's what people call them. Call it what you will. But the brick and the foundation move, okay, at different rates. In fact, this is the only part of your house that actually grows. Now, you'll never be able to measure it. And in concrete, it gets over 90% in a matter of days of strength. But the final curing, it takes about 60 years for concrete to cure. So it's continually shrinking. This is growing, this is shrinking. Okay? Now, these are 2 different materials, 3 different materials with the parge coat. Okay? With the parge coat. So what happens is that all 3 of these materials move, thermal expand at different rates. And the pressure always comes out at the corner. This is not a foundation issue. Alright? I might have a problem with the foundation, but that corner's not it. Now, if that corner pops out, you might lose some brick, but it's, going to hold some brick up, be a brick issue. You might want to fix it like that. Another thing, if I was doing a wood destroying insect inspection, which I'm not, it's 1 year old, it's way too soon for anything like that. If I was doing that, I'd have to call that conducive conditions, because termites can go up inside your house, inside that crack, and move up in there and come in the house uninvited. Not many people invite them. Moving on along. Over here, I wish I would have gotten it. And I might get it on the meter. I'll get it that when I do the electric service. But that vent right there, that is your fresh air induction vent. And the fresh air induction vent in this part of the world, we don't put hoods on them, we put screens on them because we got birds. In some other parts, they might address it differently, but that's the way we do it. The tree should not be closer to the structure than 25 feet. Okay, I get it. You don't have 25 feet to your fence. You want a tree in your backyard, that's pretty much what you've got. But the 25-foot quote unquote rule is to allow for root growth and expansion. So the tree doesn't take water away from your foundation, because we want to keep the moisture even and consistent around the structure. So the tree could interrupt that management system. Also, as the trees grow, they can cause your foundation to move. The tree did not cause this shrinkage crack, corner pop, call it what you will. It didn't do that. But the trees can cause movement, and also, branches and leaves in the gutters, and a myriad of reasons. So as we move along here, we come over here to our patio. There's some more of that diversion flashing I was talking about, and this one has a big old hairy gap in it. You think water can get in there? I do. I think water can get all around in there. These doors do not need Z-bar flashing. These windows and this door do not need, because they have lintels, these metal bars that are up underneath here. And so we have weep holes. And we have weep holes down here. How come we have weep holes down here and weep holes up here? Because to hold the brick up, we've installed these metal lintels to support the brick. So we've disturbed the drainage plane. What's the drainage plane? The drainage plane is that brick is a very good building material. This house can burn down and you can reuse the brick and build another house. It's a very good insulator for both, sound, and temperature, heat, whatever. So it's a very good insulator. But a characteristic of, architecture is regional. And a characteristic of brick is that it's porous and water shoots right through it. Okay? And we know that. We knew that when we built it. We created a drainage plane on the wall behind here before we put the brick facade. It's kind of like a parge coat almost. So most of the time you will not see water come out of here. It'll be vapor. Alright? I've seen water a few times, and I hope you don't, but it happens. That's what they're there for. But we've disrupted the drainage plane with the lintels, so we had to put new weep holes. All these holes are by design.